A man over 40 walks into a room, and before he says a single word, the room has already read his bag. Not his watch or his shoes, his bag, because it's the one thing riding right out front on his chest where everybody gets a good long look at it. And there's one sling on this list that a lot of you are wearing right now because you think it makes you look prepared. It's doing the exact opposite of that. I'll get to it. A sling is different from the rest of your carry that way. It's worn out in the open all day, so the room always gets its look. And the tells that make one read cheap on a grown man have almost nothing to do with what it cost. They come down to a single thing every time, whether the bag is straining to signal something about you, or whether it just hauls your stuff and keeps its mouth shut. I've been on the wrong end of this myself. I've worn a couple of these bags and thought I looked sharp, so nobody's getting judged here but me. I'm going to count you down through 6 of them, worst saved for last, then flip it and hand you 5 that get a man over 40 read exactly right. Start with the one you'd never guess made the list. Number 6. It's got a respectable fashion logo on it, and that's the whole problem. I'm talking about the little nylon fashion brand crossbody, the kind you see on a rack at a mall department store, with a name you recognize stamped across the front. On paper it looks fine. In your hand, for about a week it feels fine. Then the thing starts telling on itself. The strap anchors are glued, not stitched, so they peel. The buckle is soft cast pot metal, the kind that cracks the first time you drop the bag on concrete. And the polyester lining inside starts to shed and disintegrate after a couple of years, until your pocket dust is basically the bag falling apart into your gear. What you actually paid for was a fashion premium on a bag built like a $10 one, and the logo bought you nothing but the logo. The tell worth learning here is the hardware, so flip any bag over and look at it. A good one runs the proper zippers, the YKK ones carriers hunt for, and a buckle in real acetal or solid metal that doesn't rattle. A cheap one hides pot metal and glue under a name you trust. I've owned a couple of these and watched them die the exact same way every time. The brand is banking on you replacing it next season, which is the last thing you want from a bag you carry every single day. A 19-year-old can run one into the ground in a year and it costs him nothing, because nobody expected it to last. That grace doesn't extend to us. When a grown man's bag looks tired and cracked by August, it's the room's first clue that he buys the label and not the thing. Number 5. If the tag says genuine leather, that word is not the compliment it sounds like. Genuine sits near the bottom of the leather grades, the cheap bonded stuff, and on a sling it fails at the worst possible spot. Every bit of the load runs through the strap and the anchor points, so that is exactly where it lets go. Within a year, the leather there creases, the creases turn pale, and then they crack and start to peel. Walk around with a peeling leather strap, and you're wearing about the loudest cheap signal a man can put on his body, because everyone has seen that precise failure, and everyone knows what it means. The cruel part is how good it photographs, all rich and glossy in the listing, right up until it meets real daylight and a summer of your body heat. Good full-grain leather would have softened and darkened and looked richer in year 3 than it did new. This just goes to pieces at your shoulder, and it takes your credibility with it. Number 4. There's a little rubber port on the outside of this one, and it charges absolutely nothing. This is the Amazon anti-theft gimmick sling, $25 or so, and it is loaded to the gills with features: a USB charging port built into the side, lockable zippers, RFID blocking pockets, a hidden compartment against your back. It sounds like a spy carried it, except that USB port has no battery behind it. It's just a short cable running to a plug you have to supply yourself. So the only thing it really does is broadcast that you're braced to get robbed. That's the whole read the bag gives off. A nervous guy convinced he's about to get pickpocketed walking through his own sleepy suburb. Worse, walk into a shop with it all locked down like a bank vault, and the staff start quietly keeping tabs on you, because that look reads as the guy who might pocket something, not the guy who has it together. To be fair, there's a real version of this. PackSafe actually builds serious anti-theft bags with genuinely lockable zippers, a slash-resistant strap and mesh panel, and a clip to lock the whole thing to a chair leg, and they hold up for years. I know a guy who carried one PackSafe sling for something like a decade through real travel, and it never let him down. So if you honestly need to be pickpocket-proof in a crowded market abroad, buy the real one and skip this entire list. The gimmick sling just copies the look of all that security and hands you a dead port and a low hum of anxiety. Number 3. At some point, a big sling stops being a sling and turns into a purse, and most guys sail right past that line without noticing. This is the oversized crossbody, the 9, 10, 12-liter thing worn stuffed to the zippers across the front of the chest. Size is what flips it. A small sling sits flat and disappears against your body. A big one sags off the one shoulder, floods forward when you lean over, and rides up toward your throat. And the second it's bulging and swinging around your front, the room stops seeing a bag and starts seeing a man purse. And no way of wearing it rescues it. Swing it around to your back, and you're a pickpocket's easiest mark, reading like half a backpack anyway. Keep it up front where you can actually reach your stuff, and it flops and swings and shouts purse even louder. There's a real physical price too, not just an image one. All that weight hanging off a single shoulder is genuinely rough on your back and your neck over the years. I know a carrier who swears he burned thousands on physical therapy chasing a problem that turned out to be one overloaded one-strap bag. The size sweet spot almost everybody lands on, after churning through a whole pile of these, is roughly 2.5 to 4 liters. Under about 2 is too tight to bother with. Past 9 it sags and tempts you to haul your entire life around with you. That oversized chest bag might genuinely look like a streetwear silhouette on somebody half your age. Loaded to the zippers and swinging around the front of a man over 40 on the walk to the car, the only word the room reaches for is diaper bag, and there is no way of wearing it that undoes that. Number 2. This is the one that reads worst of all, and it's the one people spend the most money trying to pull off. The fake designer sling, the counterfeit Gucci, the fake Prada, the knockoff luxury crossbody bought off a sketchy link for 1/10 of the real price. And the brutal thing about a fake is how fast it gives itself away. The room clocks it quicker than you'd ever believe, because fakes trip on the tiny stuff. The logo sits a hair crooked or slightly off-center. The zipper is unbranded, or the pull is stamped with a misspelled name, when the real house uses proper branded ones. Pop it open, and the lining is thin, and the stitching wanders where a real one runs dead straight. Real houses stitch a serial or a date code onto a little leather tab inside, and the fake either skips it or stamps on a number that leads absolutely nowhere. The leather has that plasticky chemical smell, and the hardware feels light and finishes rough in the hand. You don't need to be an authenticator to feel that something is off, and everyone standing near you feels it too. A real designer bag on a man who can genuinely carry it is a flex. That's fine, no argument. A fake one is the single fastest way to look like you're pretending, and it's the pretending itself that the room files as cheap. A plain no-name bag off the shelf will outcarry a counterfeit any day of the week, because at least it isn't lying about what it is. Number 1. And you already know what it is, because you watched a guy do it in a coffee shop this week. The tactical sling. The blacked out one crawling with molly webbing, those rows of nylon loops, the Velcro patch panel, the coyote brown or the multicam, worn with the whole matching kit. Tactical brands like 511 built an entire look, and a lot of genuinely good men bought into it, because it feels serious, it feels prepared, it feels like the opposite of soft, and I get the pull completely. The problem is that outside of the people actually in that world, the look does not land as prepared. It lands as an off-duty cop who isn't one, or a guy dressed for a firefight that is never coming, standing in line for a refill. The webbing, the patches, the total blackout, all of it announces I am ready for something, in a room where the biggest event of the hour is a flat white getting made. And this isn't a shot at the guy wearing it. If you actually run a range day, if you actually carry concealed, if you genuinely hang gear off webbing for a living, those bags exist for solid reasons, and I'm not about to tell you your kid is wrong. The whole thing is about the setting. On an actual range day, that bag is just correct gear. Walk it into a Tuesday work lunch, and it becomes a uniform for a job you don't have, and the room reads that the instant you clear the door, that is the trap in one line. The marketing sold you tactical as an everyday look, and every day is exactly where it falls apart. The first sling I ever truly regretted was one of these. I thought it made me look squared away and capable. A friend eventually told me kindly that I looked like I was about to serve a warrant on the barista. He was right, and I never wore it again. Every one of those 6 was a bag with something to prove. Tough, rich, prepared, current, take your pick. They were all straining to broadcast something about the man carrying them, and the room heard the strain loud and clear. And here's the part that costs people the most money. Spending more never fixed a single one of them. The bags that get it right are the ones with nothing to say for themselves, carried by the guys you'd never think twice about. One quick thing before I flip this around. If even one of those 6 landed a little too close to home, go ahead and subscribe, because pulling apart what your money is actually buying is the whole job here. Now let me hand you the 5 that get a grown man read right, counting up to the one I'd put on almost anybody. Number 5. You do not have to spend real money to stop looking cheap, and this bag is the proof. The Patagonia Atom Sling is where I point people who just want a normal, good bag that reads neither tactical nor purse. It's clean, it's the right size, the back panel and strap are genuinely padded and breathable, and it runs recycled nylon with a coating that shrugs off a drizzle. It's around $60 at full price, and it drops to close to half that on sale constantly, so never pay full, just wait a couple of weeks. And the floor under it is honest too. Tomtoc makes slings in the $30 to $50 range that carriers reach for over bags 3 times the price, and they're the ones people admit are actually worth the money. An Osprey daylight sling runs about $35 and just works, year after year. Waterfly makes one people keep grabbing for the same reason, dirt cheap, and it flatly refuses to quit on them. That's the entire lesson of this pick. A clean $35 bag in the right size beats a $150 one trying to be tactical, and nobody in the room can tell what you paid. Number 4. This one reads like money because it goes out of its way to say nothing. The Arc'teryx Mantis in the small 2.5 liter size, padded mesh back, a key clip, a clean front pocket, and no branding raising its voice anywhere, just that little dead bird logo. It sits flat against your chest, it's sized right so it never drifts toward purse territory. And the only thing it announces about you is that you've got some taste. It lands somewhere in the $70 to $90 range depending on where you catch it. Think back to that oversized bag straining for attention on the bad list. This is its cure, small and calm, and built well enough that the handful of people whose read you'd actually care about will clock it across a room. Number 3. If you want one bag you can beat senseless for the next 15 years and never think about again, this is it. The Chrome Kadet, or the smaller mini Kadet if you carry light. Chrome comes out of the cycling world, so these things are built expecting abuse. Heavy ballistic nylon, weatherproof, and that signature seatbelt-style slider buckle with a bottle opener built right into it. I've hauled one of these around fully loaded and soaking wet in a downpour, and it just does not care. And the toughness isn't me being soft on a brand I like. I know a guy whose Chrome bag got run over by a car in a parking lot, and the zippers and the buckle came through it fine. They back the bags with a lifetime guarantee against defects. Though fair warning, they've wound down their repair service, so buy it because it doesn't break, not on a promise that they'll fix it. One real caveat before you order: that metal buckle is loud. Some guys love the tank feel of it, but a carrier I know returned a Chrome sling purely because the buckle clanked with every step, and it drove him up the wall. So get your hands on one first. For a genuine buy-it-for-life beater that reads as competent instead of costume though, nothing else here comes close. Number 2. This is the premium pick, and I'm going to praise it and warn you about it in the same breath. The Bellroy Sling. Remember the fake designer bag from the bad list, the one straining to look expensive? This is the honest cure for that whole itch. Bellroy makes the cleanest, quietest, most genuinely well-designed sling in the mainstream. Water-resistant recycled fabric, spun partly from old bottles, a nice magnetic buckle, straps that double as compression, and a shape that folds down small and packs out when you actually need the room. It reads like understated money without a single logo raising its voice. Now the warning, and it's a real one. You pay through the nose for it. Bellroy is the brand carriers point at when they gripe about paying up. One guy I know calls it the dude tax, and the sticker price genuinely does laugh in your face a little. And one story stuck with me. A guy who'd been loyal to Bellroy for years told me his newest one turned up with a zipper that felt cheap. Cheap enough that he started steering friends to other brands instead. So the design is worth it, and it's the real anti-fake. But you're paying top dollar, and if you buy one, work that zipper back and forth in the store before you fall in love. Figure $100 to $160, and to their credit, they recently bumped the bag warranty from 3 years up to 6, which tells you they plan to stand behind it a while. Number 1. If I could hand a single sling to just about any guy over 40 and walk away sure he looks squared away, this is the one. The Aer City Sling. This is what clean and technical looks like when it isn't trying to be tactical, which makes it the exact cure for the bag we opened this whole countdown on. Heavy Cordura ballistic nylon, the good YKK zippers, aircraft-grade aluminum hardware, a fidlock magnetic buckle that snaps shut one-handed, a hidden pocket against your back for your phone and wallet. No patches, no webbing, no logo yelling across the room. It just reads as a man who has his stuff handled, and it clears an airport security bin without a second glance. There's an upgraded version in X-Pack, a laminated sailcloth fabric if you want a touch more weatherproofing. This is the one I carry, day in and day out, and the longevity is the real thing. I heard about a guy in his early 60s who put one of these Aer slings through 80-some thousand miles and 19 countries over a couple of years, and it was still going strong. One fair caveat: a few people find the fabric a bit generic and rough to the hand. That's a taste thing, not a durability problem. And one last note if you carry a camera: the Peak Design Everyday Sling is the specialist answer there. Weatherproof, with clever folding dividers and a genuine no-questions lifetime warranty they honor no matter where you bought it. But for a plain, do-everything bag that makes a grown man look exactly right, the Aer is the one to beat. Around $100 and worth every cent. So here's what actually changed for you just now. Not your closet, not the bag on the hook by the door, none of that. What changed is that you can't unsee any of this anymore. Next time you're in an airport, you'll pick the tactical rig 2 gates down out of the crowd, and the guy sweating to pass off a fake logo before you've even found your seat. And nobody mentions how freeing that is. Once you can spot the tells, you stop needing to spend a dime to dodge them. You could grab a $35 bag tomorrow and walk into any room reading more squared away than the man who dropped $200 trying to look serious because you finally understand the whole game. The bag that makes you look like you've got it together is the one that keeps its mouth shut. So do me a favor down in the comments. Tell me the sling you actually carry and the one bag you spot out there in the wild that makes you wince.